people living in Gaza have been saying for some time that it's uninhabitable. I think inhabitable becomes a stretchable term where we can endlessly redefine it. But if you're living in Gaza, the conditions have been atrocious for years. The point at which, I suppose, this term uninhabitable becomes a kind of euphemism. What do we mean by uninhabitable? You're reaching a point where the policy of Israel, the blockade that's been now going on for 12 years or more, becomes a form of creeping genocide, as I referred to it in my recent article for The Link. We had that comment, remember, many years ago from an advisor to Ariel Sharon saying we're going to put Palestinians on a diet. We won't make them starve, but we will keep them very hungry. The issue for Palestinians more generally is what do they do at the point at which it becomes clear that the Oslo process has come to an end? And we've reached that point under the Trump administration. There's no concealment of this. Israel has been pushing this direction for a long time. The Obama administration tried to hold out a little against this, particularly on the issue of settlements. I think this has really been American policy for a while. It's been trying to curb Israel's worst excesses. The problem now is there's no curbs at all. You're starting to see very creative ways that people are trying to use, well, this term that Palestinians use, sumud, steadfastness, to root themselves back in the land, to put their roots down deeply to stop this process of incremental annexation, ethnic cleansing, to find ways of creating their own localized economies, and that keep them on the land, that stop Israel being able to take that land from them. So they're digging in, and they're trying to find models of building up from below, grassroots models that they can then build up some kind of resistance strategy with no help from the leadership at all. I'd like to be able to leave us all with more hope, but I think one has to be realistic. Palestinians are in a very difficult situation. They've lost state-level support. They've lost the Arab world support, European support, effectively it's lost US support explicitly, and Israel feels very, very confident. But at the same time, we have the word hubris for a reason. There's a good chance that Israel is pushing its hand too fast, too quickly. It doesn't have an end game sorted out, because I don't think it thought it would get to this point quite as quickly as it has, and because of its own political internal turmoil. Perhaps Palestinians can work towards liberating themselves using this weakness, this Achilles heel in Israel, that it doesn't have an end game. We need Palestinians to get a much clearer vision of where they want to go next, and then we need to support them in that, in their grassroots struggle, not in terms of these corrupted institutions like the Palestinian Authority, which were created by Oslo, which means by Israel and the West, to guard the prisons. We need to back them as they slowly find a new kind of grassroots model. That's the obligation on us, I think, is to give them that kind of moral support and put pressure on our own leaders to start to think in new ways about our obligations towards international law, towards the rights of Palestinians, and to a fairer world more generally. Palestine is a way for us to learn about our history and our responsibility to other peoples in the world.